Hey guys, this is Brian with Bokashi.com, and today's video is going to be about how to compost liquids and manage moisture in your Bokashi composting bucket. Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry it's been a while since I made my last video. Been busy on the weekend doing some shows introducing Bokashi composting to people around where I live here in Lawrenceville. And I had the pleasure of going to the City of Auburn Festival, and also had the pleasure of going to Whole Foods Market because of Miss Andrea Dyson and Miss Sean Bard. Thank you for the opportunity to come out there a couple weeks ago. And I got to meet a lot of neat people and have some interesting discussions. And one of the interesting discussions I had about Bokashi composting is, first, they couldn't believe everything that you can compost. But the other thing was that the people could not believe or understand that you could compost liquids. And you can compost just about anything in a Bokashi bucket. So the biggest failure in composting, whether it's Bokashi or your standard hot pile composting or static pile composting, is moisture control. Too little and nothing breaks down, and too much, things can get putrefactive. With Bokashi composting, the putrefaction part is not really an issue, because with Bokashi it is a fermentative composting. We're preserving or we're pickling the food waste. So the putrefaction is really not an issue with us, because we're preserving our food scraps. But moisture control is. And too much moisture in anything can cause it to go bad. And that's one of the things that I'm going to address in today's video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can take straight liquids and with just a touch of preparation, actually compost them properly. A lot of people, when they make their Bokashi buckets first starting out, they don't want to invest a lot because they don't understand the system, or they don't believe in the system, or they're just really unsure. They'll take a standard bucket with nothing in the bottom. And one of the big questions was, well, how do I take care of that? And one of the things you can do with a standard bucket is you can put something in the bottom that is dry. For instance, here I've collected a few things that you can use. In the scraps we have in our house, we eat a lot of breads. My wife makes bread. She makes cakes and things like that. Anything that can absorb moisture is a good thing to put in the bottom of a bucket that doesn't have a spout. You can even put it in the bottom of a bucket with a spout. But things like bread, old pieces of cardboard, it's nothing but carbon material and glue, so it'll break down. Bread obviously can hold a lot of moisture. Even newspaper can break down in your Bokashi bucket, but it can also hold moisture. Some of the things you may have around the house or in your yard, sawdust, shavings or chips of wood, and even dried grass. So if you're cutting your grass, you can even just lay a small amount out and let it dry out, and you can use that to compost liquids. And today I'm going to show you how we can compost some lemonade and actually Pepsi. How many times have you guys had a 2-liter bottle at home and it's gone bad because so many people have opened it up, had their sip? This one barely has any fizz left to it. I'm going to show you how to do that. First things first, if you do have a Bokashi bucket with a spout, go ahead and drain it about every 2 to 3 days. One of the questions was, how often do I drain it? And in my buckets, it's real simple. You just put your little glass underneath and hit the push button. And you can see this bucket here doesn't really have anything coming out. Bokashi composting, it's a little hard to say if you'll get a lot, a little, or none at all for your liquid. One of the things I do recommend, though, when you do make your own bucket, if you get one of mine, sorry, there's just a drop there. That's all I had was a drop. If you do get one of my buckets, you'll obviously get the little spout. If you don't want to get one of mine, or you're handy like that and you want to make your own, you can get as novel as you want. Here's a bucket that I made a couple years ago, and you can see I just took PVC fittings and a valve and a little 45 to make myself a little spout. One of the interesting things, though, about this, and I'm going to compare it to the other one here. Let me see, give me a second to set them side by side so you can see, is I don't know how well you can see it, but the spout here is actually touching the table, and I really don't want that. If you'll notice, you can see it bending. See how it's flexing and bending? I made the classic mistake of trying to get the spout so far on the bottom. And what if you're going to make your own buckets, you may want to do is to actually set your spout up against this so that you have a minor or very small clearance at the bottom here, so that you don't flex and you don't bend or you don't crack your bucket. My buckets that I make, if you look at it real careful, you have just that little bit of clearance. So this bucket can sit and you're not flexing, bending, or stressing out that tap right there. So what you would do is you would figure out where you were centered on your bucket, and then you would go ahead and take your spout, push it till it touches the bottom, and bring it up just a touch. And then you would mark it, drill it, and install it. So let's go about how we can go ahead and compost our liquids. Let me put this one over here real quick. For composting liquids, what I like to do is manage my moisture by layers. So if I have a layer of something that's dry, for instance, in this case, my wife made a cake and she didn't like it. So what I would do is I would take my driest material, put it on the bottom, and then that would be like an absorbing layer. It doesn't necessarily have to be an absorbing layer, but for the sake of this argument, I'm going to make it my absorbing layer. So if I have something like my Pepsi here, and I have a nice thick layer, see, it goes down a little bit. Unfortunately, it breaks my heart. I'm a cake lover, so it broke my heart to do this. But you can see underneath I've got another layer of stuff under here. So I have a nice thick layer of the dry material. So in this case, I'm pretty fortunate. I already have my layer there. You just take your Pepsi and you just pour it in there, even it out a little bit, and that will soak everything up, guys. That Pepsi could very well have been a tomato soup. It could have been a spaghetti sauce. Could have been a pudding, anything liquid. It could have been some milk, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. As long as you manage the moisture, and when I say manage the moisture, you just want to try to keep it from pooling up. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit to this bucket. So we're actually going to do one real quick. I've got some leftover stuff here, potatoes, peas, carrots, and I'm just going to drop this in here on top. And I'm going to try to finish this bucket out today. The first bucket that I showed you, I actually have to bury, and I'll show you that, how I'm going to do that in another video. And what I'm going to do is just spread it out a touch. Take just a little bit, just a little tiny bit of Bokashi compost brand, and put it in there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the larger material, which is my lemonade here. That's probably about 10 ounces. And I'm going to show you how you can take stuff from around the house. In this case, I'm just going to use the pot. And again, this could be soup, could be any liquid you want. Just pour it in some small container and just add whatever dry material you want to it. So I can add a little bit of dry material. Can put my bread in there on top. And you notice it's soaking up the liquid. I can use some of my sawdust if I want. It doesn't matter. And all I'm going to do is just give it a quick stir. Let me cut this just a touch. You don't have to do this. It just makes it easier for me to get it in the bucket one-handed, so I don't have to film and, you know, try to break everything apart one-handed. But pretty much 10 ounces of liquid is now going to get composted in there. Say that wasn't good enough for what I wanted to do. I can take 2 or 3 sheets of newspaper, drop them in the top right here. And these are just all ideas and suggestions. You don't have to do exactly this. Use your best judgment. I'm going to give it just a little bit of a start, since it was this bottom layer here is almost like a brand new bucket. And then Now that I've given it a bit of a chance, let me scoop it up so it's just easy for me to pour into the bucket one-handed. Plop right in on top. And there, I've just composted a bottle of Pepsi. I have just composted a 10-ounce liquid of lemonade. And that's it, guys. Standard everything. I take my little exclusive lid. This is one that when you buy my buckets I make for you and send to you. It's cardboard with a wax paper, and I like it because it works out really good. You can see how nice it fits down in there. You don't need to get that little pressy potato masher. You can if you like, if you're a gadget guy and gal. I like this because when you do it like this, the edges curl up, so I can just reach in, pull it up, push it back down, and then that's it. So that's how you can compost a liquid with Bokashi composting. And again, I think we put in total 14, maybe 15 ounces. You could compost as much as you want. If you have a whole pot of soup, maybe you've got a gallon of soup that went bad or is going bad or you're not going to eat, all the same. Just take whatever dry material that you have available. Bokashi composting is an offshoot of Korean natural farming in the sense that we're using natural microbes, just like we do in Korean natural farming, and we're using what we have. I could have used cardboard. I chose to use some wood chip. I used a little of this. I could have just put all grass, just to prove the point that you don't have to put just food waste in your thing. I can go ahead and take my grass clippings, put them in there, and since it was once alive, meaning it is organic in nature, I can put it in there, take a little bit of my wheat bran, sprinkle it in, and then that's it, guys. Take my handy dandy Bokashi lid, drop it in the top, press down. We're trying to exclude the air. Remember, this composting method is anaerobic, without oxygen during the collection phase. And push your lid down really good. Get a good snap on it. And that's it. That's how you can compost liquid with your Bokashi composter. And again, if you do not have a bucket with a spout, that's fine. Use what you have. That's what this is all about. We're not wasting anything. So if you've got an old Homer bucket somewhere, any bucket with a lid, best place to go get them, go to your Asian or Chinese shop where you get your restaurant food. They've got a gazillion of them. Another good place, go to your local grocery store. I have a Publix, I have a Kroger close by. Shout out to them. And go to the bakery department, and guess what they have? Glad you asked. They have 4 or 5 gallon buckets full of icing, and those icing buckets are food grade buckets, and they just end up throwing them away. Go in there and say, hey guys, can I have one? Now the inside may be red, purple, pink, blue, whatever, for whatever color icing was in there, or whatever they mixed in there, but you know what? It's all food grade. It's all going to break down. The microbes will handle it. So I hope that helps to answer a few questions and maybe broaden some of your ideas or your horizons about what you can compost. The Bokashi composting really is, man, there's bugs everywhere. It really is about, you know, composting everything. The only thing that I personally don't do is the bones. There's a better use for the bones. I can compost the bones, but I don't, because they don't break down that easy. There's other uses for them. And just to show you that you can compost everything, this bucket here has been together for over 3 weeks. And this is the bucket that I used at the Auburn Fair 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago at the Whole Foods. And I want to show you right here. That is ground pork, guys. Fresh ground pork. There you go. I have oranges. I have onions. You can see the white mycelium starting to grow in the corner here. That's the beneficials that you're going to get in my Bokashi compost. And how many of you guys have ever taken a banana, peeled it, or opened it up, and within an hour or so, or you threw it in the car to take it to lunch with you, and you dinged a corner of it, it would get black. But look at this. This has been in here 2 weeks. And this banana, even though it's open, is still fresh and yellow here. It's a little bit pale here, but it's not black up here where it got cut and then shipped. That goes to show you that your Bokashi compost stuff is fermenting. It's pickling it. It's saving it. How many times have you taken a fresh meat and seen it in the market and it's dark, it's black? Look at that. That pork right there still has the good pink, fresh look to it. And it's been in here 2 weeks, guys. So give it a try. I know a lot of people are skeptical. A lot of people don't understand the capabilities of it. And I wanted this video to help expand that idea of what you can compost. There should be no reason that whatever goes in your garbage can that came out of your refrigerator should ever go into a landfill. This bucket here holds about, say, 25 pounds. And this bucket here, if I fill it in 1 week, there's 3 of us at the house here, and if I fill that bucket in 1 week, what's on the bottom is not, what's on the bottom is fermented, and what's on the top still needs to be fermented. So I let this bucket set for another week so that what's on top is now fermented like the bottom is. If I take 1 week to collect, 1 week to sit, then that means that's 2 weeks. There's 52 weeks in a year. I went to government school, so that would be, if I can fill this every week and keep that pattern up, I can put 50 of these in the ground in the first year. That's 1,250 pounds of food that I'm getting rid of that's not going to the landfill. That is, and if you eat healthy, you buy organic foods, or you buy stuff without chemicals and pesticides, guess what, guys? That's half a ton of organic matter. That's a half a ton of organic compost. Go to any store you care to go to and try to buy a half a ton of organic compost and see how much you pay. You've already paid for the food here. You're just recycling it, putting it in the yard, and now you've closed the loop. From what you buy to what you put in your garden to what you eat out of your garden to what you put on your plate and back through again. We're going all Hakuna Matata. We're the circle of life kind of deal. So give it a try. If you have any questions, give me a call or check out the website, prokashi.com. And I'd like to say thanks to Miss Diane Dirks for helping me get the spot in Auburn Fair, and a special shout out to Miss Shawn Bard of Dunwoody, Georgia, and Miss Andrea Dyson for the opportunity to speak to everybody at Whole Foods. This is Brian. Thanks for watching.